On a recent Saturday morning in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, hundreds of families gather for a yearly ritual. Today is the opening day of the local Little League season, and it seems like just about everybody in town has shown up. Among those in the crowd, the local congressman, Democrat Brad Sherman. This year, he's up for re-election, and an event like this is an irresistible campaign stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Brad Sherman.
By most accounts, people here like Sherman.
Hello, I'm Brad Sherman.
Nonetheless, after 15 years in office, he's fighting for his political life. The reason? A new experiment in democracy has radically changed California's congressional map, throwing many once safe incumbents, like Sherman, into competitive races.
The system before was fundamentally broken because what the legislature would do is, between Democrats and Republicans, they would collude between themselves and give each sweetheart seats that would carve out any potential challengers, that would remove voter constituencies who they thought wouldn't vote for them.
Kathy Fung is the executive director of California Common Cause. She led the effort in California to strip the state legislature of the power to draw district lines.
It's a process that is so self-interested and so disregards the change in demographics that we knew that redistricting had to change.
In 2008 and later in 2010, Fung and her allies put two propositions on the ballot. Those propositions gave the power to draw this year's voting map to a group of ordinary people.
Now you have us.
That group, seen here in a public service announcement, is known as the California Citizens Redistricting Commission.
We need your help to understand the complexities in your community.
And they really are ordinary people. One commissioner is a retired high school principal, another a stay-at-home mom, and yet another owns a couple of neighborhood bookstores.
I saw this as a historic opportunity to participate in a very significant way in something that would change the political landscape in California.
Jean Rea is a member of the commission that drew the lines for California.
Why should people care about redistricting?
They should care because it's all about power. It's the power of the citizen to influence her life, her community, by electing representatives that really are going to be representative.
Rea, a Democrat, runs her family's insurance agency. Her interest in politics goes back to her childhood, when she watched her dad break political barriers in her hometown of San Gabriel, California.
This was in 1958. I think he was probably the first, or at least very close to the first Mexican-American to run for city council.
Of the more than 36,000 Californians who applied to be on the commission, Rea was the first one chosen in a lottery-style drawing.
The first 8, the lucky 8 as we call ourselves, were chosen by lottery, ping pong balls. And then those 8 subsequently selected the remaining 6 commissioners. So that got us to the 14.
The first 8 commissioners were chosen by lottery to ensure there was no political manipulation of the selection process. The remaining 6 were chosen so that the commission would total 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and 4 independents. Steps were also taken to ensure the group would be ethnically diverse.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I hope by the end of the summer you've revolutionized voting in California. A lot of us hope that.
Once formed, the commission held hearings all around the state, asking the public how they'd draw California's legislative map. Transparency was key. Web videos were posted of every session.
This is truly an historic moment. So it's going to go down in the history books.
Some 20,000 people showed up or provided testimony to the commission through one way or another. And the hearing rooms that I went to, every single one of them was packed to the hilt. I mean, this was a level of excitement that you usually reserve for rock concerts and the Rose Bowl.
Most importantly, the commission was expressly forbidden from gerrymandering in favor of incumbent politicians.
And there's no consideration of who the person is there now, who might be there, who's expressed interest in running, or what any political party has to say.
One thing that has long concerned advocates for government reform about gerrymandering is how minority groups have been split between districts, crippling their ability to vote as a bloc.
When incumbents draw their own lines, a lot of communities find themselves dissected for no other reason than they don't vote a certain way and an incumbent doesn't want them in their district. And so what many communities found was that they were split into 3 and 4 pieces.
For an example of that, critics say you need to look no further than the San Fernando Valley, home to Congressman Brad Sherman and another Democrat, Congressman Howard Berman.
Can you give me an example of something that happened in the last redistricting that was ugly?
Well, probably one of the ugliest things was in Los Angeles with 2 congressional seats. Congressman Howard Berman largely ran the redistricting, and his colleague Brad Sherman in the neighboring district, both of them had growing Latino populations.
Raphael Sonnenschein is a political scientist who runs the Pat Brown Institute of Public Affairs at California State University in Los Angeles. According to Sonnenschein, in 2001, Sherman and Berman agreed to split the Valley's Latino community between their districts in order to ensure that neither would lose to a Latino candidate.
In theory, one of them could have had to move aside to create a Latino seat, but instead, after considerable fighting between the 2 of them, they preserved both of their seats with smaller Latino populations.
Here's the map that was drawn in 2001. This is Brad Sherman's current district. It's about 42% Latino. Next door is the district represented by Howard Berman. It's about 57% Latino. Now, here's the new map created by the Citizens Commission for 2012. It creates 2 new districts. One is 69% Latino and is expected to elect a Latino representative this fall. The second is now 27% Latino.
Communities have shifted in Los Angeles. So populations that may have been dominant at one time, now that's switching over. There are a multitude of groups in LA County, and the job was to make sure that everyone was protected.
Given the Valley's new political landscape, this year, Brad Sherman and Howard Berman have decided to go head-to-head in the district with fewer Latino voters. Both Congressman Berman and Congressman Sherman adamantly deny there was any deal back in 2001 to split the Latino vote. And Sherman says the commission's reforms were long overdue.
I think in the San Fernando Valley, the commission drew 2 logical districts and gave the valley 2 congressional districts. I think that made a lot of sense.
About 20 miles away in South Los Angeles, long a home to many African Americans, the commission engaged in a fight which led some to charge the commission with gerrymandering of its own. Jody Filkins-Weber is an attorney and one of the Republican members of the commission. Of the 14 commissioners, she was one of 2 who refused to approve the congressional maps drawn by the group.
Los Angeles County, obviously, given the population density, was very difficult to take a look at. And there were a lot of factors, a lot of input, a lot of disagreement, and high racial attitude from a lot of people.
South LA has 3 congressional districts traditionally represented by African Americans. But in recent years, the population has become increasingly Asian and Latino. Some in the African American community were concerned about losing seats in Congress.
So I urge you retaining the character of the districts as they currently exist.
At a series of hearings last April, Filkins-Weber says she noticed something. Several people kept asking the commission to maintain the existing districts favoring the incumbents, especially that of Representative Maxine Waters.
I hope that you, the commission, can keep the 35th congressional district together.
We must leave Inglewood intact. Inglewood is within the 35th congressional district.
Filkins-Weber suspected many of the district residents had been urged to testify by Waters. Concerned, Filkins-Weber questioned several of them.
I do have one question. Excuse me, sir. Yes. Have you attended a recent rally from Ms. Maxine Waters regarding this issue?
Not recently.
Filkins-Weber's actions led to charges of racial bias from her fellow commissioners.
I have been biting my tongue for some time.
And the only time that those questions have been asked have been in downtown LA and to folks making testimony that fit a particular demographic profile.
We need to make a determination of the evidence that's before us and determine the veracity of the individuals that are coming before us.
In the end, the commission preserved 3 districts in South LA with large African American populations, favoring incumbents like Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Later, the news organization ProPublica reported there had been a plan by incumbent Democrats in California to manipulate the commission's hearings.
Did the commission get played?
Were we played? Depends. They didn't play me. I knew what they were doing, and whether or not other commissioners used that testimony to their own advantage to make recommendations regarding district lines may certainly have occurred.
I have absolutely no doubt that the Democratic Party did everything they could to organize people to participate in the process. I also know for a fact that the Republicans did the exact same thing. Not everybody got everything that they wanted, but I think what people really walked away from this process feeling was, I lined up for hours to speak to this commission because I believe that they would listen to me. And in fact, when I look at that set of maps, I see that they were listening. And ultimately the maps, I think, outside pundits would say, were fair to all sides.
It's safe to assume one person who didn't get any favorable treatment from the commission was incumbent Congressman Brad Sherman, now fighting to hold on to his seat. After today's ceremony, Sherman hands out combs, a reference to a joke he likes to make about his receding hairline. And he hopes a pocket-sized reminder to vote for him come November.
So you and Congressman Howard Berman have been sort of thrown into this race. Is that fair?
Sure, it's fair. It's called democracy. You got to run for Congress every 2 years. They've drawn a logical district. It certainly makes my life more difficult and more complicated, but democracy isn't designed to make the politician or elected official's life simple.